the whole thing for me with anti-killing of babies, I'm going to put it like that, because when we say abort and abortion, it's a euphemism.
Yeah.
And so we got to start saying you're killing a human being. Because that now gets people saying, that's quite, say, what's an abortion? You kind of abort a plan or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you kill somebody, and that's what we've got to start unpacking.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of About Abortion. As you know, if you've been following this series, we're questioning and interviewing and meeting some of the people who are actually doing something about abortion. And that's very much in line with the biblical principle that we're to be not just hearers of the word, but doers. And so I'm delighted to introduce today George. George, thank you so much for joining.
Great to be here, Dave. Thanks for inviting me.
So George Hargreaves, you are, a man of many talents, many arrows in the quiver.
By the grace of God.
By the grace of God.
Every good and perfect gift comes from Him. Amen. And it's our calling. All our calling is to use our gifts,
right?
And our gifts make room for us, and that's very much a theme of what we're going to be speaking about today, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for being here, and just because I'm aware, this is actually the first time we've properly met.
Yes.
So we're just getting to know each other, which has been fun. But what we've been doing really in this podcast, and for those listening who perhaps haven't heard all the episodes, we started by really analysing and exposing the issue of abortion itself, abortion in the nation, and then we really found that we had to focus a lot on the issue within the church, and we've looked at the biblical command to be a voice for the voiceless and so on. And so people are really keen to hear what it is they can actually do in response to abortion. And so we've been having on people who are out on the streets doing our public education displays, people who are teaching the churches. But you're coming with quite an interesting angle on activism in this area.
Yeah, I've been an activist for some 30 years in politics. People might know me from the Sunday Morning Live BBC show. I'm a fully fledged member of the Awkward Squad. And in fact, I remember when we were doing a political campaign for the Christian Party, the BBC had misrepresented us, particularly on the issue of life. And so I complained to the corporation, and they quickly, when I say I complained, our lawyer complained with a judicial review threat, and they very quickly said, no, Reverend Hargreaves, we can give you another slot, that's fine. And so, and they had said that we were a hang 'em high kind of party, and I said, no, that's not us at all. I don't know where you got that from. And so when they interviewed us, they said, Reverend Hargreaves, so what is your party's view on the death sentence? Well, he said, on capital punishment. Well, and I said to the presenter, the interviewer, I said, well, that capital punishment, the death sentence, is still permissible here in the UK. It's still part of our law. And she looked at me as if, where did he get that from? I had missed the email. When did this happen? I said, yeah, the child in the womb is daily sentenced to death. The womb is death row for thousands and thousands of children every year in this country. And you could hear a pin drop. She was just totally, bushwhacked by the fact that you want to, on the one hand, and I made it, on the one hand, you want to put across that our party are a bunch of right-wing loonies who want to hang them high, where every day thousands of babies are being killed. And the great thing was they couldn't edit it.
Right.
Because it was in response to a threat of a judicial review. We had a carte blanche. We carried our message onto the radio as well. It was great fun.
Fantastic.
It was great fun. And it's about communicating And it's about taking that space to get the message across. And getting the abortion message across is like breaking a siege.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual and a mental siege that stronghold for people. They just don't get it. And if you, as I do, I like history. And when I look at some of the great sieges that have been broken, and I think of 1453 with Mehmet II, which is Constantinople, how did he break that siege? Well, he tried building, and they succeeded, the biggest cannon ever known. A Hungarian guy called Urban built this huge cannon, still didn't knock the walls down. They tried frontal assaults with their best soldiers, still. And then they had an idea, let's do something different. And they literally took 70 ships, carried them across land to get to the other side of what they called the Golden Horn, so that they could set up a platoon of cannons to fire at the unguarded gate. Now, why do I tell you this? It's about thinking outside the box. It's about saying, okay, this frontal attack is great. It's the way we've done warfare. I've been on, and don't get me wrong, continue to go outside of abortion clinics. Continue to put the graphic signs. I've done that. I was doing that 20, 30 years ago. But we've also got to carry some ships across land, around the back, to the unguarded side. And where are people unguarded? They're unguarded in humour. Everybody likes a little joke, don't they? And everybody likes a good piece of fudge as well.
They do indeed, yeah, we'll come with that in a bit.
It's, so people drop their guard with humour.
Right.
You know, you go in and start, there was an Englishman, Irishman and Scotsman. You've got people are leaning into you.
Yeah.
They're leaning into you, and you say that the Irishman was totally against abortion and they haven't had it, you know, now, but you've got them, they're starting to lean into you. And so humour, and the gift of humour, and I mentioned in passing Proverbs 18:16, our gifts make way for us.
Right.
You know, yes, theologians out there say, oh, but doesn't that mean your gift? But also, we believe with the Lambeth Fudge that if we give a gift, it's going to make way for us. So there's a kind of double entendre.
Yeah.
But the whole thing for me with anti-killing of babies, I'm going to put it like that, because when we say abort and abortion, it's a euphemism.
Yeah.
And so we got to start saying you're killing a human being. Because that now gets people saying, that's quite, say, what's an abortion? You kind of abort a plan or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you kill somebody, and that's what we've got to start unpacking, to break down this,
this is it.
This stronghold.
Yeah.
So we've got to work on the language.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if I was to abort this interview,
you just shut it down.
I'm not going to kill you.
No, you just say, pull the plugs out.
Right.
Yeah. But we're talking about ending a life. And, you know, all the science is on the side of the child. You know, the number of neurons in the brain of an 8-day-old child is billion. And it's like, and you know what? That's a fact that every level 3 childcare professional knows, has been taught. It's part of the curriculum. That fact that I told you about, the development of a child in the womb, and how many. So they're going in there. I'm not saying that these all the childcare people are pro killing of babies, but you need to remind people that actually, from the moment of conception, there's a life, and before a woman even knows that she's pregnant, there have been neurons firing in the cortex of a baby, and you're stopping that through death. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so that has got to be made very clear. The other thing that, again, about the language, you see, this is what the abortionists, they got the language. They pro-choice. Well, it was not pro-choice. Everybody, I want a choice.
Yeah.
You know, even God says choose, but choose life. You know, so they grabbed that and so they twisted it around. But where should that choice start? Where should that choice start? I have it on great authority that you cannot get pregnant sitting on a toilet seat. There was a myth at one stage that you could, but it's not true. You have to have a choice of having sex to get pregnant. That's where the choice has to start. So, yeah, I'm all for choice, but make it at the appropriate time. Don't make a bad choice and then compound it with another bad choice, a horrendous choice, a choice of death. No, take responsibility for the bad choice that you made, if it was a bad choice. But you'd say, oh, but Reverend Hargreaves, what about rape? Well, I find it very interesting that in Jesus' genealogy, there's a rape victim. And that's all, you know, I don't think there's any idle word in the Word of God or in the plan of God. And I look at that and say, Lord, what are you saying to us? I know it's just a TV series, but there was this Special Victims Unit, SVU, and the main woman character, her character, was a baby, a child born out of rape, and she's a strong, she's a heroine of the whole show. And I was like, yeah, because actually, they are not to blame, the child's not to blame. Why should the death sentence be given to the child? Yeah. Whereas if I were to say that I wanted to hang the rapist, I would be one of these right-wing, you know? So the rapist gets off free, and you kill the victim. And you see, killing a child is just as heinous, in fact more heinous, than rape. And it comes from the same mental kind of gearing, as it were, because you're saying, well, I want it my way. I want my desires met. And I'm going to do that violently. I'm going to just take it. I'm just going to do it because it suits me. Sure, I've got a wonderful, his name's James, by the way, my son, 22 months old, and he is wonderful. But it's hard work. It's hard work, and you know, still up in the middle of the night for his bottle, and the fact that we want to sleep and got an interview in the morning, that doesn't matter, you know. But it's a joy, but it's work. And anything in life that is worth anything is work. And those who are killing babies because it's going to be hard work are then going out and doing hard work on something else. And I'm saying the privilege of having a child, the privilege that our own parents took seriously, so that we could even say that we want to be pro-choice. I think well, the Bible tells us it's a blessing. You mentioned quiver full of arrows. So it's a blessing. The other big one, and do stop me if I'm going on too long.
No, you give us one more.
I'll give you one more. My body, my choice. Well, Dave and viewers, have you ever heard of DNA? The DNA, if the DNA shows you whose body it is. You go to a crime scene, they find DNA, they say, it was Dave that did it, because his DNA is there. Guess what? The DNA of a baby in the womb is not the same as the DNA of the mother. It's not your body, mother. It's a different body. It's a whole different somebody that you're killing. So when you're out there saying, my body, no, it's not your body. And the choice you should have made was at the bedroom door or wherever. Is this harsh? No, I don't believe it is. Is it easy to get that message across? Not so easy when that wall is there.
And it's that wall in particular that I want to talk about today, because you've, in your sort of CV, as it were, you've studied theology, you've been in politics, music, all sorts of different areas, and in some ways these kind of represent different ways to try and get a message or to try and achieve some kind of social change. And yet where you've landed today, as you say, is you're using humour. Using humour because one of the greatest challenges we face as activists is that wall, you say, is people don't want to hear, the mainstream platforms don't want to let you on, and even in the church, the pulpits don't want to let you in, and so how do we break that wall becomes, practically speaking, one of our greatest questions, doesn't it? That's actually where we need to focus. And you and some sort of colleagues have lighted upon humour as a way to do that. Now let's talk a bit about that, because I know that if I'm going to adopt a BBC journalist persona here, my viewers will want to ask you, my viewers will want to know, is it really appropriate to use humour in such an issue as abortion?
Well, abortion is not a laughing matter. Let's get that straight. It's a deadly serious matter. And the genocide in the Congo under King Leopold was a deadly serious matter. But what we know from history is that Leopold's regime was more affected by the lampooning of him as a murderous king than any other thing. And the satire cut right to the bone, because actually the ego of people is such that they don't want to be felt foolish. Are you laughing at me?
Right.
I'm supposed to be powerful. I'm supposed to be smart, and you're laughing at me. People actually don't like that. It gets them to reflect. It actually, we have seen time and time, it actually gets change, whereby when you're trying to butt with your massive cannon, as it were, they try and they throw back.
Right. And they've got bigger cannons usually.
Yeah. But when everybody's laughing at the joke about you, you mean you didn't even know that it's different DNA from a mother? Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Well, it's when people see the joke in you, and you don't want to be the butt of the joke, then reaction.
Right.
And what we've seen, as you mentioned, is that a lot of times it's just no reaction.
Yeah.
And it was Oscar Wilde who said the worst thing in politics is to be ignored. But today, just coming up on the train, I got a WhatsApp message and it was a picture of a vicar or a bishop, I don't know who he is, we're trying to find out, holding up our Lambeth Fudge, which I think we're going to show.
Yeah, we've got some here. Got our Lambeth Fudge.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, because we've kind of skirted around a couple of specifics here. So you work with the Abortionist.
Yes.
Right. So a satirical. Tell us.
I'll tell you. Yeah. Let's lay that down.
Yeah.
I'm the editor-in-chief of the Abortionist. My name doesn't appear on the website, but now the secret's out. This guy George is behind it. But we started for the reasons I said, that satire has always been able to get at government and at authority. You just have to look at Private Eye or Punch going back a few years, or Spitting Image, and on all these, they literally get up the nose of politicians.
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't bring it with me, but we just did a Christmas card to all the MPs. And maybe I can send an image to drop in of all the MPs, to all the MPs, with Rupert Huck with a sickle and a poster of the exclusion zones. And she's pointing at one of the magi and she's, "Oi, superficially black magi. You can't be praying here. And, you know, that's satire. Now, she is going to be having that in their neck from everybody. Oh, I got you the Christmas card, did you? You know, she can't run away from it. 650 delivered right before Christmas, before the recess. And, okay, that's just the first salvo. But, you know, this is like water on a stone. We just keep dripping and dripping and dripping. I've asked her for an interview. She's not even replied, but she will do in the end. Because she will want to see this stop. She will not want to be the butt of every joke. But it's not a joke. It's very serious. What we are saying is that you are a grim reaper for children in the womb. And we put you in a nativity scene to say that you would have done Herod's work and killed Jesus. You know? And that sounds strong, but you can kind of say it in a satirical way. And what can you do? People are going to get the joke, and it's not at them; it's at you. And so we work and work. But we did find a problem with the Abortionist, and it actually is the one that you're talking about here. We found that many pro-lifers didn't get the use of humour. So we're not willing to jump behind what we're doing. Because of the concerns that we're making light. We are not making light. We are being strategic to get through that great wall. But they were not, you know, jumping up and down with joy. Oh, the abortionists. That some just didn't get it. And whilst we, you know, we've done the Google ads, we've done the social, the traffic. Hasn't been spectacular, I'll confess. But we've been doing this for 2 years, and we did get ourselves kicked off of Facebook. So the traffic would have gone.
That's promising.
So we wear that as a badge of honor. And so we're trying again. We think that they may have forgotten us, or the season may have changed. So we're going to be back on Facebook. But that's when we started sitting down. What else can we do? How can we circumvent this resistance? And actually, we don't want to preach to the choir. If the pro-life community didn't get it, that wouldn't worry us as much as if we didn't get through to the abortionists. That's how our aim. We'd love the support. We'd love the donations, by the way, you know, for it. But that's fine. But we want to get to the people who are killing babies.
That's it.
And so we sat down and said, what can we do? What can we do to get to the people without killing babies? And that's why we got this idea of a gift makes room for you. We can send them a gift. We can send them some chocolates, or so why not fudge? Because what they're saying is fudge. And so, you know, in those brainstorms, okay, let's do it. Let's do some Lambeth Fudge. And we'll send it out to all the bishops and to Justin Well and to the nominal head of the Church of England, who is the king. He got his at Sandringham as well. But here's what I'd like anybody who gets what we're doing to do. Can I make a little
Please.
Yeah. The idea is not just that we send it to the bishops, which we've done, but if you go on amazon.co.uk, just put in Lambeth Fudge, and you know your local vicar. And even if you're not an Anglican or you may not even be a believer. I don't know. But, you know, you can go to the local Anglican church and his name is on the door or on the board. And the church is there. And you go onto Amazon and you send a gift of Lambeth Fudge to Reverend Smith at Holy Trinity Church, so-and-so road. And guess what happens the next day? He gets a box of Lambeth Fudge.
Now tell us, what's the theological fudge that this is referring to? So people who've been following this podcast actually may have heard it. Explain from another angle. But what is it?
Okay. Well, in fact, I see this has not been...
It's not been opened. I'm waiting for my unboxing.
Well, if you'd like to do the official unboxing...
Okay, here we go.
There's a little tab here at the front. If you
Oh yes, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
So
You carry on while my nails do their work.
So you get your Lambeth Fudge to your vicar,
Yeah.
and he looks at the box and says, "Oh, this is interesting." No warning as to what is inside.
Okay. Right. Here we go.
And what have we got inside?
I've got some beautiful fudge.
So
Yeah.
it really is fudge. It's not a squirt bomb or anything
Right.
like that.
Right. Here we are. Shall I read that?
That's-
Yeah. Okay. So, Your Excellency, the Anglican Church is crying out for a clear statement on the rampant culture of death in the UK, which has devoured 10 million preborn children since 1967. In its wake comes the systemic industrialisation of baby killing, the commodification of children, baby organ harvesting, the untold suffering of women, and most recently, the criminalisation of prayer and support in specially designed censorship zones that protect abortion providers, not women and babies. It is critical that you speak up unequivocally and unashamedly for the voiceless mothers and babies as the abortion lobby pushes for baby killing to be made a human right. Yours sincerely. And this is addressed to Archbishop Justin Welby, and it's a postcard that the vicar can send. And
That's right.
right.
Now, you heard pretty strong words.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of you getting to say those words to the vicar if you hadn't sent him a
He's going to read it.
And he's going to read it.
He's going to read it.
And he's going to react
Yeah.
one way or another. And then he's going to perhaps even read
Yeah.
a little bit of the background.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, laying out the theological fudge that is at the heart of the Church of England, which is they want to, the Church of England combines strong opposition to abortion with a recognition that there can be strictly limited conditions under which it may be morally preferable. And we've asked them, what are those specific, and they won't answer.
Yeah. What are these? Okay.
So the strictly limited is not limited at all. It's whatever you want.
It's secret. It's top secret. No,
Yeah.
Strictly limited, and only we know. And so we're saying, just tell us.
Yeah.
Just tell us what these strictly, so we can have a debate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really, what we want your listeners, your viewers to do, it's only £4.75.
Yeah, it's good value. Yeah.
Yeah, it's £4.75. We don't make any money on this, by the way. I've got to point, it costs more than £4.
Yeah.
The reason we did £4.75 is because we looked at the prices on Amazon.
Yeah.
I can confess, I wanted to cover our costs, and it would have been like a tenner. And my sponsor said, no, we've got to make sure that it's, a value for money and affordable. So £4.75, but you can send it to your local vicar. He'll get it the next day. They're that efficient.
Yeah.
And when you go into, and if you're a member of the church, when you go into church on Sunday, he might tap you on the shoulder and say, or her, and say, oh, I got your fudge.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And you can start a conversation. Then you say, well, or you can say, Vicar, did you get my fudge? And ask him, will you send a postcard? Find out where he stands or she stands.
Yeah.
Now, you've got to imagine this happening up and down the country, 18,000 Anglican vicars. That's what we want to. We want to be a sold-out bestseller on Amazon, based on people like you going out and buying this, not for yourself, but if you want to buy it for yourself, it's really good fun. But first and foremost, buying it for your vicar, whose name you, if you don't know, is on the church notice board. The address is there. If that happens throughout the country, that is a wave.
Yeah.
And guess what? Also, because it becomes an Amazon bestseller, that's a news story.
Yeah.
That will be in the Metro, the Sun, the church get bestseller on Amazon with their fudge, because it's a good news story. So work with us, and if we can get this to work in short order, we'll do something else again.
And my encouragement to people would be, because in a comparable way, we get opposition to some of the work we do on the streets with the pictures. People say, oh, I don't like the pictures. Well, I don't like the pictures.
No, that's the
and
point.
actually, the point is not, oh, sorry, I didn't realise what I'm doing doesn't please you. It's like, it's not for you. This is because it saves lives.
Yeah.
It's because people need to hear the truth. Now, the same goes for maybe sending fudge isn't people's sort of favourite way or normal way of communicating. The point is, there are babies dying every day.
Exactly.
Precisely because the church is doing nothing. And in fact, because the church helped to pass the Abortion Act. So if this pierces through, if this is the cannons round the back, then terrific, you know. And so if people listening can get out of the mindset of how does this sit with me? Now, of course, if it contravenes God's word, if it's sin, then obviously we don't do it. But if it's just something that doesn't kind of, you know, you don't sort of feel comfortable with it, well, tell you what, the baby genocide isn't comfortable. And I don't know of a comfortable way to stop a genocide.
And you know, the Bible talks about witty inventions. This is what this is. This is a witty invention to get round the back. And there are some stuff that, if you see some of the Old Testament prophets,
right,
you know, eating dung,
right,
you know, lying on one side for 40 days and then the other side, you know, jumping the back. There are some kind of uncomfortable things.
Right.
And this is the least of them.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable at all.
Yeah.
You're giving good quality fudge, but getting the message across. And we had a website, Virtual Online, pick up on the story because they actually, if you put in, and I recommend you to do so, just Google Lambeth Fudge. We see us at the top of the thing underneath the paid adverts, and then you'll also see from Virtual Online Lambeth Fudge about some other Anglican fudge issues.
Right. Yes.
And they put in their newsletter, "Hey guys, spoke to this guy George about his fudge," and we're still seeing orders. It's very exciting because every time somebody orders, I get an email.
Right.
I've got 4 this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that tomorrow I'm getting 40 or 400. When the podcast goes out. But we have to be creative for the sake of the children. God is a creator God. He's given us this creativity. He's given us these gifts. One of my gifts is to be creative. And to be a promoter. So that's the gift I'm using. That's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
And I thank you for having us.
Oh, it's great to have you.
For those babies who, you know, I look forward to the time, you know, and I've seen it in my preaching. You do something and years later somebody comes up to you and says, you know what, what you did matters. And I want to encourage the work that you do. I was speaking, as you mentioned, I worked in the entertainment business, and I was speaking to a big African award-winning actress about the whole question of the. In fact, we were talking about doing a pro-life movie with her, and I was asking whether she's pro-life or whatever, and she said, "Yeah, I saw one of these posters, and it changed my life."
Wow.
And she's got 2 kids, and she says, "Yeah, if you get the project together, I'll certainly star in it."
Fantastic.
So they do work. You know, I remember saying to my friend, you know, I've never actually had anybody come back and give me feedback, but today somebody just said they heard the song, and it changed as a woman, changed their whole perspective. See, part of the difficulty we also have, Dave, is that 1 in 3 women have had an abortion. So probably your auntie, your sister, your mum, or whatever. So it is very raw. So part of what we also have to do is make sure that the love and the compassion and the forgiveness of God for those who've been involved in abortion is well known. So that this is not a finger pointing at them. This is going upstream to those decision makers, those influencers who could change stuff. And saying, look, we're holding you to account.
That's right.
We're holding you to account.
And it's worth emphasising that, isn't it? So for those who aren't familiar yet with your work, the butt of the joke is never the women having abortions. The butt of the joke is the Rupert Hucks of this world, the Justin Welbys, the health secretary, the people who know better, should know better, do know better, have the reins of power, and are censoring the debate and promoting the genocide. And that's That's what it's angled at, and I think it's important people should know that.
Yeah, it's we and I think we're going to see it a bit later. We sent one of our first boxes to a wonderful mother in America, Kate Buck, whose child has trisomy 18 syndrome, which is a bit like Down syndrome. And we worked on a project last year with baby Daniel in Manchester, from a Muslim family. They did not know what to do. The hospital were not going to give any treatment to their son. They reached out to Kate's organisation in the States. She bounced back over to me in the UK, and we got experts to put together all sorts of medical stuff.
So they were going to give up on this child?
Yeah.
Right.
The child would be dead now.
Right.
And we said, hang on a second, these trisomy wonderful children have wonderful lives. They may not be as long as ours. They may only live into their teens or whatever, but they have wonderful lives. They give love, receive love, and are valued and so forth. You don't just let them die. And we put together a dossier which actually changed the thinking of the ethics committee in Manchester University Hospital.
Wonderful.
And they sent a letter, and when I read the letter, it almost brings a tear to my eye. But they just didn't know. They didn't know, and they just saw the science, they saw the testimony, and said, "Yeah, we've got to keep this child away." So we got to do something. So, you know, sometimes they just don't know how wrong they've been. They've been so into that they don't know the simple thing that actually it's not the mother's body. It's a totally different set of DNA, different human being. You know, can I come back to this question of my body, you see, this is what happened with slavery. It's the same mentality. My slave, therefore I can kill him. My property. No, it's not your property. It's not yours to kill. God's gift. Not yours to kill. So, we're passionate about this.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, and I would be interested for some feedback, if we can get our short run of these off to Vickers, you know what to do now, go to the church board, name, address. Okay, I won't over egg it. That brings me on to the word egg. Easter's coming up. We want to do, we're thinking about doing curate's egg.
Okay. Yep.
Some will know what that means. A curate's egg is something that is half good and half bad. But when it's half bad, guess what? It's all bad. Yeah. And a lot of the time, you see, this is what this fudge is. It said, "Oh, we oppose, we boldly oppose abortion." That's good.
Yeah.
Clap for Justin and the team.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's bad.
Yeah.
Which makes the whole thing bad.
That's right.
So we want to do curate's egg for Easter, but we've got to get the fudge moving first.
But just give us one more example. So with the Abortionist satirical newspaper, you've got articles, cartoons, and all sorts. That's coming out on a regular basis. The website is
with www.theabortionist.com.
Easy to remember. But tell us just one more specific. Where's Welby? Tell us about the Where's Welby campaign.
The Where's Welby campaign. It was actually brought to us by a brother and asked whether we'd support it, and we just loved the idea of holding the Archbishop's feet to the fire and asking the question, where are you? And I don't want to take any credit for the idea, just for the credit for running with it, you know, because you get people that have got ideas and they need to have a supporter to carry it through. And they based it on the Where's Wally pictures, you know, where you have to find Wally amongst the crowd. And so this wonderful, I think we'll get an image up, a wonderful image of various things around the abortion debate, whether it's Rupert Huck's walls around abortion clinics. baby killing house. It's just a whole cacophony of horror, really. Horror. And we're saying, where's Welby? So you're looking in there and you find him. But the real thing is the message on the back. And I would say this, that if you want to send this postcard and you don't have it, you could buy some fudge and you'll get the postcard inside. Probably an expensive way of getting the postcard. Or just go to our website, www.where'swelby.com, and you'll see all the information there that you can do your letter to the Archbishop or your own postcard to the Archbishop. And we've kind of run out of these cards, but if there was a demand, we'd print them up maybe in packs of 50 and sell them for 50p or get them out to people. But we really need to see this work. We've tried out something new, and we're calling on support to get it out to those people who can make a difference up the line.
Yeah.
And your vicars, they're going to be going to synods, they're going to be having deaneries and so on and so forth. We start working on them and getting into conversation. It's about, God says, come let us reason together.
Yeah.
You send this to your vicar and say, well, let's have a chat about it, vicar. Let's have tea, vicar, and talk about this. And actually, as your vicar, they have an obligation to sit down and listen to your concerns. That's part of their ministry.
I'm certainly not a farmer, but I'm told you need to break up the ground before you plant the seed. And what these things are doing for us is they're helping to break up the ground, because so often we find we're trying to sow seed, but it's bouncing off. The ground is so hard, and we live perhaps more than ever in an age of such competition, so many voices. We get more information on a daily basis than people living 1,000 years got in 10 years. Newspapers, online, whatever, through our ears. We don't even have to look for it. It's everywhere. So how do we pierce? How do we get through? And things like this. I mean, obviously we use imagery a lot. People aren't going to forget this image. It's very arresting. It's very, wow, what's going on here? It draws you in. It's memorable. And it puts this on the table where it needs to be. So that's fantastic. So we're going to have a clip as well, I think, of Where's Welby, aren't we?
So I think you'll see how people just, when we go out there with our ad bikes and we just park them up, people just want to know what it's all about.
Speak up against abortion at Lambeth Conference as Archbishop Justin Welby remains silent. Over 600 bishops gathered at Canterbury and at Lambeth Palace this week for the 2022 Lambeth Conference, and were greeted by the where'swelby.com campaign, a satirical inquiry into where the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, stands on abortion. Bishops, priests and the general public engaged in the campaign by seeking to find the Justin Welby image on the Where's Welby campaign poster. But as for the Archbishop's position on abortion, nobody seems to know. Some bishops, however, were absolutely emphatic as to where they stood on abortion.
No, we don't like abortion.
You don't like abortion? So where do you think the Anglican Church worldwide should be standing? Should they have more of a Catholic position where they say abortion is not in God's will? Or?
No, we don't like abortion.
You don't like abortion? So would you support the campaign to get a clear voice from the Anglican leadership on abortion as a sin, a killing sin against the unborn child? Killing sin.
Indeed, a group including the Anglican Bishop to the Australian Defence Force, the Right Honourable Reverend Grant Debden, tabled an anti-abortion comment to the conference.
One of the issues that we were looking for at the conference was abortion to be looked at. Do you think that should be raised as a part of the environmental question for the child in the womb?
not about the environmental question, but about human dignity. And in our group, we submitted that as a comment that it should be included as one of the groups of humanity that ought to be protected.
So you would describe yourself as pro-life for the unborn child?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So we're asking the question, where's Welby? Where's Welby on the issue of abortion? Have you any idea?
No idea. I haven't spoken to His Grace about that at all.
As to the question, where's Welby? Campaigners and the entire nation are still waiting to find out where the Archbishop Welby stands on the subject of abortion.
And then I use this phrase a lot, they lean into it, you know?
yeah,
They literally lean in, and then they say, oh,
Yeah.
baby killing house.
Yeah.
Oh, MSI. Oh, buffers.
Yeah.
Birth control. Oh, and it comes,
Yeah.
and it gets them thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've seen some people get annoyed because kids gravitate to this.
Right.
It's very colourful. And we make no apology. So kids should know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should know.
Yeah.
They should be asking the mummy, so what's this all about?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, so it's exciting times. And particularly when you see things like what we saw outside an abortion clinic in December, where just standing silently,
Yeah.
you're arrested and finding yourself. That is where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can't find other ways of expressing ourselves, and I take my hat off to Amazon for not.
Yes. Many thanks to our sponsors. Yeah.
But it took us a long time to get online on Amazon, and we did quite an interesting thing. I spoke to our friends at Christian Concern. I said, "Look, I'm concerned that they're going to block our fudge. Would you support us if that really turns out that we've been cancelled?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So we put out a press release. And said, we are concerned. We had no evidence that we were, but we just knew we were not online.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours of that going out, we were online in time for Christmas.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And we'd been from October trying to get online.
Yeah.
On other sites like eBay, it was like Etsy. And now they're my besties. I get emails from them. I got one this morning talking about how I can advertise and Amazon is as big as Google and as other places in terms of searches.
Brilliant.
So we're very excited.
Fantastic. Well, look, we're gonna round things up in just a second, but before we go, just give us, what would be your sort of parting word to those who are listening, in particular about where do you want to see not only this, but actually the pro-life movement and the nation in, say, 5 years' time, 10 years' time? What's your dream? What's your prayer?
My prayer is to make the killing of babies in the womb unthinkable. Just unthinkable. You know, you would not dream of putting me in shackles and laying me down in a boat next to an house. You wouldn't dream. It's unthinkable. But there was a time when that was an everyday occurrence. And it was okay. So my dream is that killing babies in the womb is unthinkable. That's my dream. That's my prayer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, George, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Great.